Well, hello and welcome to our world. Welcome to another version of Done by Some from the Father and Son Network. We're excited to be back with you for another Saturday morning. You know, fathers and sons are going to be having real conversations that matter to make an impact on the world. We always say real conversations done by some. So my son and I, Patrick, will be having impactful and engaging conversations with fathers and sons from all over the world. We're currently looking for fathers and sons to be guests on the show. Now, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, please either respond here in the comments or send us an email, send us a text message. Let us know you'd like to be a guest on the show. Look at that. I even got my flow going. Let us know you want to be a guest
Oh
on
my
this.
gosh.
Uh-oh, it's going to be a hot Saturday morning. Got my flow going. If you know a father and a son that we should interview, tag them, share this message with them, and tell them to tune in. We'll be with you again for the next 35, 45 minutes here today. Welcome, son. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited for the Super Bowl tomorrow.
Uh-oh. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting Super Bowl. It's going to be interesting. But, I think the Grams are really going to, put it on the Bengals, right?
I mean, it'll be close. It really depends on the Bengals offensive line. But there's also a bet with Mattress Mac. If you haven't heard, if you spend more than $3,000 and the Bengals win, it's free.
Yeah, he gonna get a whole lot of people, suckers in there that's gonna buy that stuff, and the Rams gonna win.
I know it. Every time he bets against the team, you already know the other team's about to win. He knows. It's like he knows something.
Although, one year when we were in our other house, I spent $7,000 over there on media room furniture, and if I would have picked I want to say it might have been the year the Astros won the World Series, or it could have been a Super Bowl. But anyway, I didn't select. But if I would have selected the team that Matches Mac picked, my $7,000 would have been, wiped out and been for free. But needless to say, I went on ahead and wrote him that check and got it over with.
Like most people.
So today we have a really good topic that we want to talk with you about today, and the topic is 7 things all boys need to hear from their father. Now, some of these things we got from this book called How to Raise a Boy: The Power of Connection to Build Good Men. And it offers these 7 phrases that all fathers need to say more often to their sons. Now, I'm excited about this topic, Patrick. What about yourself?
Let's get it on.
All right. Well, then we just gonna get it on. So now, fathers and sons, let me say this before we start. Now, some of these things you may say, some of the things you may have had conversations with your son, some things you might not have had. We're going to have a real conversation here. We've not rehearsed anything. And he's going to let me know if he agrees, if he disagrees, and we'll have a conversation about it. You and your son should be sitting down right now, getting ready to tune in to see if you guys have had these conversations, or if you want to have these conversations, or if you had the conversation, what was it like? Ask your son, what was it like? Sons, ask your dad, why didn't you not have that conversation? Or if you did, tell him what you think. So you'll be able to do that today. Let's get started. The author of this book says, even the best father is at one time or another guilty of spouting some unhelpful words or advice to his son. Now, let's just be real. We know it happens, right? Right? Now, to tell a crying young boy to stop acting like a baby, or to say something like, "You're fine, you'll be all right, ain't nothing hurt but your pride."
I always say that.
You know, you've heard that.
Used to make me so mad.
But he says, when you say those things in a place of real compassion, he says, such phrases have been said by generations of men to generations of young boys when they cried over broken Lego sets. They took a big hit in a football game right to the gut. I remember somebody getting that hit in Little League football that time.
Yeah. We're not gonna talk about it.
All right. Or something without giving it much thought, right? Now he says the advice, of course, is sometimes wildly unhelpful, but it can be a difficult habit to break, because you know what? Your grandfather, your dad told you that, his dad told him that, and we just keep perpetuating the same thing over and over again. Now, we've been preoccupied with teaching old ideas about masculinity while ignoring a young man's basic human needs, says this psychologist in his book, How to Raise a Boy, The Power of Connection to Build Good Men. Now, in it, he echoes through research how the ideas regarding boys needing to be stoic and manlike causes them to shut down, which in turn leads to anger and isolation, as well as disrespectful or even destructive behaviors. Now, we hope that doesn't come out, but sometimes it does, right? It's essential, though, for parents to demythologize masculinity and raise boys to be, among other things, vulnerable and emotionally aware. Now, we know that we definitely need young men to be strong backbone leaders of their family, but we also want them to understand that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be emotionally aware, emotionally attached. It's okay to tell your child you love them. It's okay to hug your child and tell him that he's special. It's okay to do those things, right? As a man, and men out there, I want you to let's just stop right now before we go any farther. What I want you to do, look at your son. You might have your grandson. You might have your nephew with you. But look at him right now and just say, son, I love you. That's all you have to say. They want to hear that. Don't you want to hear that, Patrick?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. Don't you need to hear it?
Yeah.
Right? Especially in those difficult moments, right?
Oh, yeah. Especially in difficult moments.
Yeah, that girlfriend done broke up with him. You know, he got that ring up in that football game. He got crossed over in a basketball game. He came in 6th place in track. You know, something like that. They need to hear those things. But the key to changing that culture lies in how parents, educators, and mentors help boys develop socially and emotionally by offering better advice. So where do we start? So we're going to share with you these 7 simple phrases that all fathers need to tell their sons more often, right? So let's just get started. Number 1, I failed a million times. Now, dads, wait a minute. I know it's hard for you to tell your son that you failed. I know you want him to believe that you were successful at everything. But let me tell you, it's okay to let him know that you're human. It's okay to let him know that, hey, maybe I didn't do everything the right way. You see, because you're the only one believing it anyway. They already know that you didn't, right? He's just shaking his head.
I'm not saying it.
Whatever. See what I'm saying? We got to end this show. You see what I'm saying? Fathers can't get a break around here. Man, can a brother get a break? But it's okay if you failed them to say I failed a million times, right? Because there's lessons in here that you're teaching. See, to a kid, it's easy to think that their dad never does anything wrong. A young boy needs to know from an early age that his father has failed twice as many times in hundreds of different in hundreds of different ventures and different things, right? The ideal masculine type and what boys who are raised with flesh and blood fathers get to observe is that all of the human failings of a man, that they are real. They're not just some mythical feature, a mythical creature, right? The way we lose our cool, the way we are scared, the way we're in love with our partners. See, all that human substance is demythologizing the role. Because you see, you want them to be in touch when they talk to their sons, right? So telling your son, I've made a boatload of mistakes is primarily to demythologize and to make masculinity itself more real and acceptable and not so ideal, some ideal unachievable standard, right? Now, Patrick, I have a few questions for you to share with our audience here. Have you thought about how important it was for you to understand that your father is not perfect, that he's made mistakes and he can admit them?
So I guess I don't really recall a lot of any failures that you told me. Because usually every story you have told me, somehow you always persevered. So I just guess that's what I take from those stories, and to make the best of what you're given, because the path is already made. And you just got to understand that it might not be the most enjoyable, but you just got to make the most of what you have right there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I took from a lot of stories that you told me.
Yeah. And I've told you about our financial failures, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I told you about my sixth place coming in track, right?
Oh gosh.
I told you that I
Yeah, but
played.
you were proud of that, so that don't really count.
Hey, I got a ribbon. There were two other people that didn't get ribbons.
Oh my gosh. So technically that's not a failure. So because you're excited about that.
Yeah, I told you I only played football 1 year.
You didn't
Right?
play.
Whatever. I got on the field doing warm-ups. I mean, I got on the field. One time we were up 42-0, and they had 3 minutes left in the game, and I got in. I got to play full 3 minutes straight.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
Now, fellas, y'all know I'm just joking, right? But whatever.
No.
So I don't know. Did you ever think about or feel, and some of these you may be too young to remember. I don't know. Ever feel that your dad was this big bad dad without any flaws or failures or anything?
I mean, yeah, just because you're my dad. I mean, you're the father figure of the household. So I mean, I kind of put a lot of trust in you that pretty much anything that was going wrong, I could just go to you and then you would solve it. So of course I thought that you were like this unstoppable person that knew all the answers and did everything.
Yeah.
But I think once I realized that you weren't,
Well, that was only last year, right?
oh please. Once I figured out that you weren't, then it's kind of when I started realizing that he's just a person just like me, or you are.
Yeah, and that's really what I think I think about my grandfather and how I always looked up to him and thought that he could do everything, and thought that he was wise and all knowing and all of this type stuff, and and I wanted to then emulate that. I wanted to then be like him, right? And as you get older, you start realizing, wow, well, maybe he made a mistake there. Maybe he shouldn't have done this like this. Maybe he should have done something a little bit different. So, for example, in my house growing up, um, my grandfather had this one plate that he would eat off of. Nobody would ever eat off of that plate. He never said, don't eat off that plate. He never said one word about it, but we just knew that's Pop's plate. And you don't eat off of that plate. He had certain glasses. No one ever said you can't drink out of that glass, but we knew it was for Pop, and you didn't touch it. It was the rule of the house, but it was unwritten. No one said anything. I don't ever remember my grandmother saying anything or anybody, but we just knew. The only thing that he would ever say something, and he wouldn't really say it, it was just his actions. He had a chair that he would sit in every night, sit and watch TV and watch the news at the end of the day and read the newspaper. And if you were sitting in that chair, he wouldn't say anything. He'd just come and tap on the back of the chair, like 1, 2, 3, 4. And you knew that you got to get on up and run on out of
here. That's why you do that?
Yes. But y'all eat off every plate. Y'all drink off of every glass.
Yeah, you have it's in different ways. It's not in that specific way, but you have your certain things that you are anal about.
Yeah. And he bought this turtle candies from my sister fundraiser at school. And that candy sat in the refrigerator, wrapped up in cellophane, unopened for 2 years. Nobody ever touched it. He died, I'll never forget it, August 18th. And by August 19th, that candy was gone. But for 2 years, I tell you, I'm kidding you not, that candy sitting in that drawer in that refrigerator, and nope, everybody knew that was for Pop, and you didn't touch it. And yeah, but when he died, it was a wrap.
Yeah, you ate it.
Yeah, we all ate it. All the kids like, yes, we can eat it. Oh, we're so sorry Pop gone, but let me get that candy.
That's horrible.
I'll just tell you what happened. So guys, fathers, sons, you may have something similar. Put that in the chat. Put it in the comments. Let us hear what your thoughts are and what things, if there are some things like that in your family, in your household, right? So let's keep going. Number 2, things of the 7 things that fathers should say to sons is you have to make yourself happy first before you can make others happy. You see, a young boy must learn early, very early on, that he has to be a little bit selfish. It's for no other reason than self-preservation. See, if you don't know what it is to love yourself, to know yourself, and to accept and advocate for yourself, how in the world are you going to be able to care for anyone else? Right? See, I don't think you and I had a specific conversation on this particular topic, Patrick. At least I don't remember. Maybe you do. But I did try to have conversations with you that were real and true. And I tried to not sugarcoat everything for you. So for you, what was your experience with that? And how do you think you'll try to handle that with your children someday? You don't have any children yet, do you?
No, I don't have no kids, I don't think. But
Oh, thank
oh, you heard that? No.
yeah, I heard that. Fathers, y'all heard that, didn't y'all? I know y'all did. Clowning with me.
No, how I would handle it is just in this specific situation. I mean, there's a lot of people that forget about this because they're so worried about helping other people. Or so worried about, oh, all I want to do is help. All I want to do is help other people. Well, that's fine, but if you can't help yourself, how are you going to help other people? If you can't take care of yourself, how are you going to help other people? So just recognizing that you have to come first before you can take care of others, then that's when things will start to happen. So it was like me living in North Dakota. It was tough for me in year 3 and 4. But once I recognized and acknowledged that feeling of like, what am I doing or who am I? And I need to just be thankful and have that gratitude towards me just being here and having that opportunity. That's when the change started to happen. And I remember when I came to Houston and I was going back to North Dakota, it was pretty tough for me. And I knew I needed gratitude, and I knew it before I even was leaving. I was like, I need to be more grateful for things, for that situation. And I remember you coming to the room and saying, "Look, like son, like we need to talk. I think you need to work on you just being more grateful and having more gratitude in what you have right now." And since that point, I just made it a point to be more grateful with everything. Like just be happy that I was there. And when I got back, I ain't gonna say I was better, but or not gonna say that everything was resolved, but I was better and I did have a better attitude about things. And I was forcing myself like, yes, like this is the good things that happen. That's happening right now. So I think once you recognize it, if you are in that bad place or if you're not, just recognize the space that you're in right now or in the present, and then just keep it going from there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I would do.
Okay, all right, yeah, and so and one of these, I used to always tell you that one of these days you're going to be in a position where you're going to be telling your son, or you're going to be telling someone else. I went through this experience having to stay in North Dakota, far away from my family in this cold place and all of this type of stuff. And I grew up in Florida and Texas and in warm weather environments, right? And you just have to be grateful for where you are, what opportunities you have, and how you can how you persevere through those times. So I'm glad you picked up on those things. Yeah.
I had to. I was forced to.
Sacrificing in a conscious way is sometimes useful, but it's the only thing that a boy is taught to do. In other words, to take one for the team and always at his own expense, right? Then it stops becoming a choice. It evolves into a default mode, which can lead to many issues in the future, right? But I like what you said. It starts with understanding how to be more grateful, right? So let's keep going. Number 3. And folks who's tuning in, if you have an experience, share with us. We want to hear it. We'll definitely share it with our audience and get you on the show so you can also talk about these things. So number 3 is, was that really your best effort? Now this one we're gonna have some conversation in, because you played a whole lot of sports, and I was hard on you and Tressa around competing and believing in yourself and working hard and putting in the extra work, and giving your best, right?
Oh yeah.
So for you, how would you say, what was your attitude in those moments when, you know, I'd come after you and say, look, you got to do this, this, and this, and I wouldn't let you quit or give up or hold your head down or anything like that. I know your mom tried to protect you guys from that type of stuff, but you know, I was coming anyway.
I really didn't. I think it was because I loved this. When it came to football, I didn't really care what you said because I knew I was just gonna go do it. But like basketball, I didn't really care for basketball that much. So it was just like when you told me that stuff, I was like, here we go. I gotta do this. But if it came to football, I was like, yeah, okay. I mean, if you yell at me or if you tell me to go do this, this, and this, then I'll think about it and then I'll end up just going and do it because I love the sport that much. That was pretty much all I thought about.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. All right. And, you know, in those moments, in this book, what they talk about is in those moments where you and your son are half doing something, you catch your son half doing something, it's important to call him out to ensure that he's putting forth the best effort. Because you know what? If they don't put forth the best effort in that moment, it leads to not putting their best effort in other moments. See, it bleeds over. And as fathers, we have to make sure that we're there to correct our son and don't let them just like slack and give up. Now, fathers that are out there, talk to us. Give us some comments. Give us some feedback around this, because I know there's there's probably a lot of strong opinion in this area, right? And the women are going to want to be more soft on them, and guys are going to be like, no, we can't accept that, right? He says in research they found that what enabled a boy to do his very best work is a teacher who knows him and holds him to high standards. This is where fathers come in. We know our son. We know what they're capable of. We know more than what they're capable of. We know them so well that we know them better than they know themselves. They're just not ready yet. And we have to hold them to that high standard. What are you laughing for?
Because all the times you used to like to push me, and like even with Kessa, like you would push her. I think you pushed her harder than you pushed me. Like the stuff that she was telling me, like watching film right after the game and stuff, and you would watch it with her. And like sometimes I would feel like, man, I wish she would do that with me. But you would just like tell me stuff and just like just leave me alone. And I was like, damn, like I wish you was sometimes I would wish like you were that hard on me about certain things.
I did get a little softer on you than Chesa. Your mom was always like having a heart attack because she like the time in Kansas, and Chesa was playing around on the basketball court and she wasn't playing a game, and we came all this. No, we're in North Carolina. We came all this way. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, go to sleep. Everybody got ready. We ate dinner. Everybody got ready to go to sleep. I said, hey, Chesa, put them shoes on. Let's get to the parking lot. And she had to run it. And the next day she came out there and dropped 30. See, it works.
Oh my
God. So see, a man who basically says that that's your best, I'm sorry, that's not your best, go back and try it again, and refuses to settle for less, those are the teachers that boys respect the most, right? Those are what we call transformative relationships, because the boy is really pulled, your son is really pulled by the weight of the relationship to accomplish more than he would do on his own, right? And Patrick, when you were in high school, we actually we did get a lot of film on you, and we watched some. We didn't watch as much as we did with basketball. We did watch some film on you, and talk about the routes you're doing, your drills that you do. And at one point you ended up coming to me and saying, hey, I want to get this Nike, whatever that thing was. And
Oh, Spark.
yeah, Spark. Yeah. And you were running all in the backyard doing all kind of stuff.
Yeah, tearing up the grass. You're getting all mad.
Get that bar off my grass.
No, I think we bond a lot when we go to the camps, and then it was pretty much. I think it was almost every night we'd go out in the front yard, in the street, and run routes and stuff
Yeah.
until your arm got tired.
Yeah. I'm not
And I was
going
like,
to a quarterback.
yeah, I was like, man, I want to go more, and then you're like, no, I'm tired.
Yeah, you actually, it was amazing, but I used to tell your mom, said, Patrick don't seem like he ever get tired. He's just want to keep going and to keep going. You're in high school then.
Yeah.
When you're 7 and 8, I know you don't ever get tired, but when you were in high school, but I enjoyed those moments going out in front and throwing the ball, run those routes, and talk about game time situations, right? That toe drag swag. They talk about toe drag swag on TV a lot, but we were talking about it out in the front yard.
Yeah, and every time you throw it, because there's a curve, if I didn't get my feet in and then jump on the curve, I would just face plant every time. So I had to really kind of emphasize and tap and then jump over the curve while catching the ball. So that was kind of a tricky situation.
Those are those moments. So you just got to remember that when you get ready to have a son, right? That those are the things that you want. Now, men, I want to tell you this. So I didn't have, my grandfather was older, and we didn't play all of those type things. We didn't do that type stuff. He talked to me a lot, but we didn't go do these activities and all this type stuff. But I knew that because I didn't get that, I knew I wanted that. So I was intentional with both of my kids. I was very intentional about some of the things that I did because I know that I didn't get it. So my point is, don't make up the excuse, well, because my dad didn't do it for me, that I can't do that for my son. Because my dad didn't tell me he loves me, or my dad didn't tell me he cares for me, or my dad didn't tell me that I was, a good son, or that I can cry. That's a bunch of foolishness, right? You know what's right. And every kid needs to hear that their father loves them. Every kid needs to hear that they are good. Every kid needs to hear that they are worthy, that they are good enough, that they can do it. They need to hear that from their father. Now, you can hear it all day from your mother. It's fine and dandy. But fathers, I want you to understand, your sons need to hear it from you. Patrick, tell me, am I right or wrong?
No, you're right. You're 100% right.
Yeah. So it's important that you do that. Even psychologists assert that this relationship works whether it's sports, science, math, or art. Meaning helping your child, your son, understand that they need to put their best effort forward. He says a coach, a mentor, and a father is demanding, but loving and fair. Let me say that again, because some people may miss it. A coach, a mentor, or a father is demanding, but loving and fair. A young man will work his behind off for that father, for that coach, for that mentor, and get more out of himself than he ever thought possible. Just with that, helping them understand that and realize that. All right. You ready to keep going, Pat?
I'm ready.
All right. Number 4, treat people as you want to be treated. Now, that's the golden rule, right? I really like the platinum rule, Patrick. The platinum rule says treat people the way they want to be treated. See? not as you want to be treated, because you may want to be treated a certain way, and that doesn't mean I want to be treated that way. Treat people the way they want to be treated. And fathers, we have to teach that to our young men. We have to teach that to our sons. All right. Number 5 is hurt people hurt people. Now I'm gonna say that again because you might be like, well, what are you saying? No, hurt people hurt people. See, this is more than just a clever phrase that's found all over Pinterest right now, right? It's a good lesson for boys to learn at a young age. Hurt people do harm, either with words or with actions, because they have been hurt. And when they don't have their fathers in their lives, guess what? They hurt. So what do? They go out and hurt other people, right? So fathers, this is why we're having this show. This is why we need to step up. This is why we need to be the man that we need to be for our families, for our sons in particular. Psychologists call this this phenomenon traumatic reenactment. Hurt people hurt people. See, a father needs to teach his son that when a person hurts him, it's just a transfer. It's just to transfer the pain from being hurt themselves. Understanding why a person might do this or do something hurtful is important, that we help our sons think through this and help them put this into a different perspective, right? So, Patrick, what are your thoughts on that statement? Hurt people hurt people.
Yeah, I think one thing that came to mind is, and actually it stuck with me, is you used to tell me, or it was when I was older, but you told me one time where I don't know if you actually told me or was talking to somebody and I overheard, but you used to always say that you always smiled in every situation. Like no matter what, you always had a smile on your face. And I guess that stuck with you. I don't really know how it stuck with you. I don't know how it changed you, but I always wondered kind of how that really affected you and whatever you were going through. Cause I was just a kid just enjoying myself doing whatever I was doing. So how did that affect you? I guess it's my question back to you.
Meaning how it affected me that you would always be smiling?
Yeah.
Well, because it, you know, I smile, I laugh, I have fun and all this kind of stuff, but I'm not necessarily the one who walks around with a smile on my face all day long, right? I have more of a stoic, serious type look most of the time, right? And people sometimes, well, people would say, well, you look like you're mad. Well, I'm really not, but you always have a smile on your face. And that stands out. When people smile a lot, it stands out. It's memorable. And people want to be around people that smile a lot because they feel that you're happy, that you're going to be fun and exciting and all this type stuff. And versus someone that's frowned up all the time. Right.
Yeah.
I just noticed that of you, no matter what's happening around you, you're always smiling.
Yeah. I was just curious. But hurt people. It's good. I just think that people just want to bring you down to their level. So, I mean, the average are always going to want you to be average. But it's the people that break through those barriers and say, I'm not going to listen to you. It's fine that you're mad today, but don't get in my aura because you're not going to bring me down to your level. I'm just going to go past you and be up here and work out here all the time. A lot of people get trapped into that, being sucked into the average because this is what everybody's doing.
Right.
That's not how you're going to get to where you want to go, is being average. I mean, yeah, of course, you can hang out with your friends and do all this sometimes, but not all the time. So that's kind of what I tell people in a lot of situations, because it's especially now with a lot of my friends, because it's just what it is now. It's all about the new trend or the new fashion. And I mean, like my friends are now telling me, you need to buy new clothes. I'm like, For what? Like, I probably still have the same pair of clothes since college. I haven't really changed clothes. I don't need to change clothes. I mean, and I tell them all the time, like I wear all neutral colors, so all I have to do is go in my closet, say I want to wear this, and I want to wear this, and I can leave, and that's it. It just makes it easy. So
Yes. Well, you know, that goes along with the adage that I used to always teach you guys or say is that don't just own the product, own the company, right?
Yeah.
So when they tell you you need to go buy new clothes, you say, hey, you need to go buy some stock.
Exactly. It's just how you think about it. I'm like, well,
Right.
this is wasting time. Like I can think about something else still, what I'm wearing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, a father needs to tell his son that whenever something bad happens, it's not always his fault. There are millions of other factors that's involved in every action. And we need to tell our kids that don't always blame yourself for things, right? And that's actually number 6. A young boy is born with the fundamental assumption that the world is fair and just, right? But we know that that's just not the case. The world is not going to necessarily be fair and just in every situation. See, we need to make sure that we understand that, and we need to make sure that we teach our kids that the world is not necessarily going to be fair and just. And when something happens bad, it doesn't mean that it's his fault. It doesn't mean that he caused it. It doesn't mean that he can't get over something bad, right? So we're going to round out, Patrick. We're getting close to number 7. We're going to round it out here and go to number 7. Number 7 says this, and fathers, this one might be a little bit hard for you. It's not hard for me at all, because I wanted my kids to understand this and know this. And number 7 is,
what's number 7?
I love you and understand you. See, fathers, we got to go back to what I said earlier. I told you let's just stop and take a moment and tell your son that you love him. Tell your nephew that you love him. Tell your grandson that you love him. But number 7 on this list is, I love you and I understand you. Your son, your grandson, your nephew needs to hear that from you. See, my father never told me he loves me. However, my grandfather did. The easiest excuse is that it's just not the way men of my generation speak to other men, specifically their sons. No, that's not okay to say that. That's just an excuse. I'm okay with the fact that I'm okay with the fact that it's hard for people to say, but I'm not okay with the fact that men will say, well, my father didn't say it to me. My father wasn't nice to me, so I'm not going to be nice to my son. No, it's not okay. Your son expects more from you, right? So you have to make sure that you say those words, I love you, to your son whenever the situation warrants it, and sometimes for no reason at all. My constant I love you admission, I'm sure, will likely lose the impact as your kids gets older, right? When they're younger, they need to hear it, they need to hear it, they need to hear it. As they get older, it may lose some of its impact, but they're still going to remember it, and they still going to want to hear that, because they're going to have those moments where they need the father's love and understanding and kindness. Patrick, I can remember one time when you were in college and you got that new car that I purchased and you wrecked it. You know, in that moment, did I treat you with grace and kindness?
Yeah, I thought you were going to be pissed.
Yeah.
You probably were. Like, don't
Oh,
get
I
me wrong.
was. Oh, yeah, I was. But here's what I did, folks. So he called me and told me you had an accident, and I said, well, how did you have the accident? He says, I hit some gravel, and I'm like, well, you're driving down Highway 59. 59 don't have gravel. Help me understand, right? You know, you get over, and his mama would telling you some gravel, but it wasn't getting over on me. You know, I was born and raised on Blake Street. I wasn't falling for that okie doke, right? So I said, well, help me understand then how you hit gravel on 59, Highway 59. And then he admitted that he was dozing off and went into the median and all this type stuff. So I knew why he was dozing off, because he had been tired and been up all day waiting on friends to come to drive back with. I get it. And I knew he thought I was going to, tear him up when I got to him at the dealership.
I was so scared.
I know. And he was sitting there. He was standing outside the record truck, and he was standing there with his head down. And I drove up, and I just said, hey, son, you all right? Yeah. I said, get in the car. And I went and talked to the record driver. Boom, boom, boom. Got all that taken care of. And then what happened after that?
Drove home in silence.
And what were you thinking in that silence?
I was waiting for you to say something. I was like, man, he's about to wait until you get home and just yell at me.
And did I yell at you when we got home?
Honestly, I don't remember, but I don't think you did.
No, I didn't. I just said, hey, we'll talk about it tomorrow. Right. And then the next day, you, Gus, and I were sitting at the table, and we were talking about it. And you said, well, it was an accident. And that's why I said, yeah, I know. Otherwise, they'd be calling on purpose.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, making fun of me.
But see, fathers and sons, what I purposely did, I was very intentional about this. I could have yelled and screamed at him and hollered and all that type of stuff. I knew he was already feeling bad about it. So it was no point in going down that road. Reverse psychology on him. Not say anything. That was more torture than anything. Right? Because he's like, well, when is he going to say something? He hasn't said anything yet. Well, when is he going to say something? What is he going to say? How's he going to holler at me? See, that's his torture. He killing himself. I don't have to say a word. Then the next day, let him go and go to sleep. Whole night, he worried, tossing and turning, probably trying to figure out what I'm going to say, when I'm going to say something. Right? Then the next day, when I was calm inside and outside, we had a conversation about it. And I just made it very clear. He needed to straighten up his situation, his outside environments that were causing him to, that were one of the causative agents for him to have this accident and not being responsible. Right. And I told you what, one more thing with this car that I just purchased, brand new, and you're going to ride a skateboard to school. And I think that straightened you out a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, I was kind of anal after that.
Yeah. Didn't have one accident, didn't do anything. I mean, the first 24 hours after he had this car that had like 10 miles on it when we purchased the car, the first 24 hours we get home, he already done half tore the bumper off. And I'm like, what?
That's because I didn't know you had to go on an angle to back out the driveway.
Yeah. So use a little reverse psychology on them. Don't holler at all. They think you're going to hoop and holler and all this type of stuff. That tears them up more than you hooping and hollering, because they just tune you out when you're hooping and hollering. But when you don't say anything, they plan it in their head what you're going to say. When is he going to say something? All this type of stuff. Had him toe up. So But love must be something more than just a sentiment, right? It needs to be substantial. It needs to be based upon what psychologists call atonement, which is really just making your brain feel good, right? And we are atoned or are attuned with each other. I'm with you and I understand you and I grasp it and you know it, right? That's why saying I love you will feel to your son like I really know who you are and I accept who you are as the unique individual you are. Let's just
Yeah.
all say it collectively. Go ahead, son.
No, you can finish, but I was gonna say this area is one that we have to practice because the way we treat our family or the way we treat our pets is key. And the key word is you or yours or your ownership of what you have or your family, your blood. So like your mom and dad or your siblings or the pet that you raised, not somebody else's.
Right.
The reason being is because how you treat them is just practice for all the other people you're going to meet in the world that you're going to pass. It's about the practice. So like for example, teachers and coaches don't see the way you're struggling outside of the classroom or outside of the game because all they're worried about is the setting that they're leading. All they see is the good and the bad test results. All they see is like in sports, the points you score or the touchdowns you score. So if you look at the majority of most of successful people, that's the ones that had the most practice, and that's what you or I will never see is what they practice on. For example, Warren Buffett. We don't see what stocks he lost money in or all the stocks that he's actually invested in. We just see that he's a billionaire. Michael Jordan, we don't know how many shots he took. We don't know how early he woke up after he got cut from the high school team. We just see that he went to play for North Carolina and he went to the NBA. Same as Mike Tyson. We don't see how many punches he threw in practice. All we see is the number of punches counted when the fight came. And Will Smith, we don't see how many jokes he told when he was a kid. We don't see how many rhymes he'd said in his head when he was walking up and down the street going to school. All we see is he's a movie star. But it's all about the practice that we take outside of everything else. So speaking with your parents, making sure you're speaking properly, making sure you're being nice to them, your family, your pets, just training your pets, just simple things like that actually does translate out into the world because that's the show. You're at home to practice for the show outside of home. So that's just what I think of it.
I love that. I like that. I'm gonna have to use that. Right at home, you're practicing so you can go out in the world and show. And whatever you practice at home, you cursing your parents out at home. You know what? You get out in the world, you're gonna do the exact same thing, right? I love that scenario and analogy there, son. So thanks for that. But I was gonna say let's end the show on all the fathers and sons and nephews and nieces, fathers and sons and nephews and grandsons. Let's all just say a collective, I love you. So we're going to all do it together on the count of three. I guarantee you we're going to hear it all over social media. 1, 2, 3. I love
I
you.
love you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Didn't that feel good? Then you can say it again, right? I love you. That is fantastic, folks. This is another session of Done by Some, presented by the Father and Son Network. And I tell you what, I enjoy this every week. And if you enjoy it, just type in the comments, yes, 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 yes. And then I want you to share this with someone. Share it with, just right in social media. There's a little share button right there. Click share so somebody else can see it. Or type in their name and tag them on it. Tell them that they need to be back here. Our next show is going to be Saturday, February 26th. They can rewatch this show. It's going to be live on Facebook. It's going to be live on LinkedIn. It's going to be live on YouTube. Saturday, February 26th is the next show. Go ahead and enjoy that. Come and join us, for the next show. In the meantime, go out there and enjoy that Super Bowl and have a good time. Tell your son, your grandson, your nephew, I love you. They're going to appreciate it. Peace. Done by
some.